first event that I will be discussing is event 5, which is provide learning guidance. My three state content standards are listed right here, and then my ISTE standards are listed right here. So both of these images, I've inserted hyperlinks. So I'm going to go ahead and click the first one, which this is a Padlet. And I feel like this would be beneficial for students because instead of just the mundane worksheet, this is a little bit more interesting for students, and they're able to drag their answers below each block, which is nice because it gives them kind of like a kinesthetic approach to learning. It's a lot more interesting than just the pencil paper version. And I also included very detailed directions up here. And then what you'll notice is that I said to submit the link once they are finished with their Padlet to our Class Dojo website. So I could actually use this as a source for formative assessment, which I could then use to create more targeted lesson plans. So in general, I think that this is a great resource to use because not only could I maintain feedback from students in terms of what they're learning and what they need help still learning, but it's also accessible for students, especially if there are Chromebooks in the classroom, or this is even accessible through cell phones as well. So they would actually be able to view this page while they were at home to continue studying because these are 8 quiz questions. So there would obviously be a unit test. So this is just a great source for studying, and then it also allows me to, as I mentioned, keep track of what students know and what they still need help learning. So that was the first part of my event 5. And then the second part of my event 5 is this rubric, which goes with a project that I actually mentioned in event 6 under Create with the Bloom's Taxonomy SAMR model. So in the directions, I stated this rubric will be used to grade your Prezi project. Refer to this rubric to ensure that you will do well in the assignment. So in event 6, I asked the students to create a Prezi project independently, and there were numerous components, which I do have listed in event 6, like I said, under Create. For time's sake, I won't get into that, but so as you can see, multimedia project, Prezi. It's a nice title for students, and then this also allows them a space to write their name on their rubric if they wish, if they want to print it out. What you'll see is that there's 4 different criterions: attractiveness, mechanics, organization, and then requirements, and then it's 1 through 4. I have made each blurb very detailed and easy to follow for students, and I chose to put this on a Padlet just because I feel it looks a little more clean compared to the Rubistar formatting, which this is a Rubistar rubric. I just personally like the Padlet background a lot more. I think it looks just more aesthetic in general. However, I do have a link right here which would take the student to Rubistar. But as I mentioned, to me this just looks rather chaotic with the advertisements and then the pop-ups, so I just prefer this version. So moving on to my event 2, which is inform learners of objectives. These are my state content standards, and then my ISTE standards are right below. This image is a hyperlinked image as well, so I'll go ahead and click on that. And then what you'll notice is this is Padlet again. Obviously, Padlet is very versatile for teachers, right? So these are my objectives. So it says May 3rd, 2018 objectives. I feel that including the date really big, a solid font color is important for students, kind of grabs their attention. And then you'll see in the corner, grade 6. I thought that this meme was very eye-catching, and I thought that the students might find it humorous. And then, of course, the visual representation of an atom is important for students to become familiar with. And then these content standards are stated right there. But to students, state content standards, they're they're not very engaging to students, and they probably don't understand them that well. So I also created learning goals, which this is more student friendly in terms of vocabulary and sentence structure. So I feel like both are important to include for the objectives. And then what you'll notice to the right is a periodic table of elements. And this is just good for students to get acquainted with. They should just know how the periodic table is organized. And again, it's just a nice visual representation. And then I also included this YouTube video. And if I go ahead and click it, it is an animated. It's an animated video on atoms and molecules. As you can see, it's an animated monkey explaining about atoms and molecules. So I'm sure students will find that a little bit more engaging than their teacher talking about it. So I thought that this could really reinforce the concept of what we were learning, and then this could be a great way to open the lesson overall.